Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted as a citizens collective, we welcome you to another session of Wednesdays for Water. The conversation today is on NID Open Elective-Water Matters. The objective of Wednesdays for Water is to engage in conversation with our water experts, grassroots practitioners, policymakers, and youth to explore the complex intertwined issues associated with water and the possible solutions. It has expanded since then to have more activities like the Friday Waters and the Monday Munching with Women for Water, besides organizing water workshops, water walk and talks, seminars, special courses, and conference panels to continue the conversation in various possible ways. Please visit our website www.w4w.in for more details. My name is Proshaka Maitra and I am the facilitator for the session from W4W, and we have Dr Mansee Bal Bhargava to do the session moderation. Dr. Mansee is an entrepreneur, researcher, educator, speaker, mentor with deep interests in water worries and wisdom. She is the founder and director of W4W Foundation and currently holding the position of National President of the Water Resources Council of Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries. I shall now hand over to Dr. Mansee to take the session forward. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Proshaka. Thank you so much for getting the thing started for today. And we really look forward to having our conversation today with Professor Vishnupriya Narayanan as a speaker for the session, who is also assisted by her students. They are going to talk about their experience. Before we get into the nitty-gritties of the session, it is my honor to introduce a dear friend who is currently a faculty with textile design at the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, and that is what is NID stands for. Her interest areas include building material, informed pedagogy for children, addressing secondary textile waste, and innovation around paper. She has in the past curated workshops which experimented with craft-based learning among others, and especially with women and school children. Through a project sponsored by IGNCA, Ministry of Culture, in collaboration with NID, she spent 5 years studying the traditional textiles, indigenous back tension looms, dyeing practices, and other indigenous practices of over 50 tribes in 4 northeastern states of India. This is the only place where I am jealous of her because I wish to join her in that whole endeavor. But thank you so much. I'm going to be a bit, casual with you, Vishnu, because I know you so well, and it's really a pleasure and honor to have you and your students join you in this session. So let me open the conversation by asking you a very simple question, because I remember the day it was discussed and circulated to the people, open elective at NID this year, and that will be on water matters. A message came to me in the middle of the night that there is something for you. So I'm just curious to know how the whole ideation of the open elective towards water matter actually came through the pedagogy of NID. Over to you, Vishnu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mansee. It's a wonderful opportunity to be having this space and time to recall what we've done in the past 6 months, starting from ideation to culmination. And I see this opportunity says that it's not culminated yet, and it's an ongoing process. So I'd like to share my screen to sort of share our humble beginnings of this open elective. So open elective is a module that NID curates for 2 weeks for the entire design fraternity here at NID. So we proposed different topics and this got selected. So just to see the humble beginnings, we had various topics ranging from thinking about pedagogy to looking at AI and memory related to well-being. So how did this come out being? We said, let's brainstorm and see what's relevant as of today, and a topic that's wide enough for many practitioners to participate, because design as a stream itself, it works as an interface between 2 disciplines. And being very aware of that, we wanted to invite as many people. And as you see here, this is just a referential picture of all the students coming from 3 different campuses to this in Ahmedabad. And this similar open elective was offered in Bangalore and Gandhinagar, which are 2 extension campuses, which only comes to say that we had practitioners like you see over here. This is the entire visiting faculties who are either biologists, they're photographers, or ornithologists or even filmmakers to come and give their perspective. And this is how we conceive to say that let's go ahead with water matters, because how can design, which is always perceived as a product centric approach or something that delivers only a product at the end, can deliberate on concerns which are there in the society, and also find ways to then asking ourselves, how do we build concepts to design with water and for water as an entity itself? So that was our humble beginnings.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the introduction of the course. Am I audible to all of you? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So let's get to hear from the students, and before we do that, it will be a nice idea to really have them introduce each one of them. And maybe we start with Bharat, and then you can hand over the baton to your colleague. Okay?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hello all. I'm Bharat M E from NID Ahmedabad. I'm pursuing my exhibition design in NID Ahmedabad. So yeah, looking forward. I would pass the baton now to Nandini.
Hello everyone, I'm Nandini Agarwal and I'm from Gandhidham, Kutch. And right now I'm pursuing textile design from NID Ahmedabad and I'm in the second year. I'd like to pass the baton to Anant Dixit.
Hi, myself Anant Dixit. I'm from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. I'm pursuing exhibition design in Ahmedabad, NID Ahmedabad, and I'll be forwarding it to Rupsa.
Hi everyone, I am Rupsa Biswas and I am from Kolkata, and I'm doing my furniture and interior design in Ahmedabad, NID Ahmedabad, and I am in my second semester, first year. Yeah. Passing it on to Manuel.
Hello everyone, I'm Manuel and I'm from Kerala. I'm currently pursuing my graphic design and I'm in my second year right now. Passing the baton to Ananya.
Yeah, I'm Ananya Dutta. I live in Bangalore and I'm currently pursuing animation film design at NID Ahmedabad.
Okay, interesting. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead. Yes.
Hi, I'm Shefali Gond. I'm from Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, and I'm doing my master's from NID Ahmedabad in ceramics and glass design. Thank you.
Wonderful. So, Vishnu, you have 7 students joining you today to discuss their experience of the entire open elective. So, let us move on to our next round of conversation, where we would like to know a little bit more about what is open elective and what kind of themes are taken from, on regular basis. And this year it is Water Matters. Particularly this year, how was it organized? As you briefly mentioned that, how you came through the rigorous process of different themes and then zoomed into Water Matters. And especially what are the sub-themes, little bit more on the sub-themes and the kind of students you had, what kind of disciplines they were, and the kind of mentors you had, which part of the world they came from, and particularly the expected outputs and some unexpected outcomes from the, the entire process. And how long was it? So over to you.
Okay, so we had a rigorous process of giving a 4-month prior notice. We sent out invitations to institute across the world, because we also call this an international open elective. And to our surprise, and also much to our expectation, we had an overwhelming number of more than about 200 entries. Now, the process of finding whom to select and whom to neglect is hard, but we had a balance between looking at what skill sets that our students currently have and how does that complement to the objective that somebody is proposing, and also combining it with a resource. And most importantly, design tries to look at a very sensorial approach, and at least in this case, because it was water, that became a prime premise of looking at how do we check all those boxes. So we had a musician who had applied from LA, Mr. Evan. He had something to offer calling Do Rivers Listen. It fascinated. Of course, these topics are really telling of in what ways people are inquiring about this element called called water. So likewise, we had somebody from Ghana who unfortunately could not come in the last minute, but offered something on how do we do dyeing with very little water. So he had his experiments there. So our rigorous process sort of like to check, we had 5 parameters which said, resources that are here at NID, how do we provide a very multi-sensorial experience, and also to meet the objective, which is the ongoing water crisis. One is already envisioning that we're going to have water shortage, water war. So how do we develop conversations? So the end was informed in the beginning itself to say, let's not have a product outcome, or not necessarily or limited to a product, but it could be something that's endearing, that the conversation or the outcome can provoke conversations, can help somebody speculate onto the future, because as a subject, it's rather vast and it's not something that we have done in the past. Earlier, we've had topics like, say, looking into the indigenous knowledge, or something that's looking into the past of the railways and how do we develop for the railways. So this time we stepped outside of the mold. So to really have the focus on trying to be relevant for the current, and how this can bring in people who are on field, who are on ground, to participate and have real conversations, and not something that's borrowed from books, because there's so much that we needed to cover. So these kind of helped us shape and suggest what we would do. So extending that list, we had somebody who brought in their material expertise like resin, somebody who got in their expertise of savoring water, which is like becoming water connoisseurs, to somebody who could who will share her story of just understanding water from swimming perspective, or being an aquatic being, what does it mean? Or somebody who comes from a flood prone area called Assam to say that we'll tell you a story where flood is a festival. So we had a whole range of looking at water, and that helped us curate. In Ahmedabad we had about 14 electives, in Gandhinagar we had 8, and in Bangalore we had 12. So we have here students who represent their experiences they have had through their own elective, and each elective maximum has about, say, 20 odd students max, but we have ranges from 7 to 20. So this allowed for a lot more vocal participation, and it's not something that's subjected to you're 150 in a crowd and you're lost, but every voice mattered, every expression mattered.
It's interesting because you do mention that every voice matters and every expression matters. And that brings me to the second round of questions to all the students who have joined here. And I wish to thank them again for taking time to really interact with us. But at the same time, I wish to congratulate them that they went through this whole process. So let us hear from them, what did they do eventually, actually, on ground, in theory, and what did they learn from each other. We will take it at the last round. But then how was this comradeship of working together? And maybe it's a good idea if each one of you is really telling about your mentor and what was their way of teaching. That will be a good addition. So maybe Vishnu, I will also request you to share the slides, because I see that they also have their testimony. So maybe we start with the testimony, and while they are speaking, they are head and heart. So shall we start with Bharat again? So Bharat, over to you.
Yeah, I was a part of River Island Revelations open elective, and it was about knowing different cultures from Assam, that majorly narrowed down to Majuli, which is the largest river island. And their river island is mostly where there are lots of floods, and it's mostly flood prone area. So it was really interesting to know how the people over there live amidst the floods, acclimatizing to the situation of floods, and how different cultures have been profound, living together the culture. So to know about their culture and diversity, the food and all, so we tried to narrow down into one particular space, that is the people, which makes the entire community, and the people, I mean the family, which is the house, that is the sanghar. We tried to build a sanghar which had different narratives coming together, like the different cultures, the food, the clothing, etc., etc., and how they try to combat and celebrate floods using the culture which is being provided. Yeah, it was something, it was fascinating to learn from this elective. Yeah.
Very interesting because I remember, Bharat, I went to your little hut at the campus on the final day when everything was on display, and I also had good food with all of you.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting. You were really living live your open elective water matters.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing your experience in brief. But I would also like to know from you who was your mentor for the course and how was the teaching approach, I mean, that will be good to know, and that is a request to every one of you. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I was mentored by three different people. One is Digangana, who was from Ayang Trust, and also Akshay, and also like Dada, who specifically came all along from Majuli to teach us like the different techniques and all things. So the approach of how we were taught was like the first thing we had to like see. We saw like what are the different things they do, their livelihoods, like how they actually live in that particular space. So then it was our turn to like immerse ourselves into their culture by actually like living their lives rather than just knowing about them through like videos or something. So we actually tried to like put ourselves in their shoes and like look about their culture and how they um, have been in that particular situation, how they celebrate things there. So that was the approach which we had take on. Yeah.
Very interesting. Shall we move on to our next student speaker from here on? Yeah, Nandini, would you like to share your experience, including the approach of teaching?
Yeah, sure. So, for the open elective, I was a part of a course called A River of Possibilities, Charting Ecosystems and Speculative Design. So, during the course, we looked at different lives living in and around water ecosystems and how different natural aspects are affecting them. So, my mentors were two biologists, Tejaswini and Arjun, who also took us to Charodar, which is near Anand in Gujarat, uh, to look at mugger crocodiles and to understand ecosystems around them. And they also took us to the local fish market here in Ahmedabad to look at different kinds of fishes. And we got them in the campus and we also cut it and opened it and looked inside, like how they have evolved over the time. So yeah, that was quite a new experience for me. And while researching over the period of course, I came to a conclusion that I wanted to work on overfishing. So this was my model, and my idea seeks to highlight the implications of current fishing practices, and it visually represent how we have exploited the oceans over the period of years. Like uh, the aquarium contains little water balls, which represents fishes, and when you fish it through the fish net, you will get to know how the quantity has depleted over the time. And like basically it said that by the year 20, it has been globally speculated that by the year 2050, all the oceans will be almost empty of any edible fishes. And it is quite a horrible thought, as it is not even 30 years ahead of us. And for our future generations, fishes will become something which are dinosaurs and other extinct animals to us. And that is very terrifying to think about, I feel.
Very important observation, like fishes will be like dinosaurs. And also an important point which you raised is your future generation, where I think we are talking about you people more as future generation. So it's good to see that you have to start thinking about your next gen as well. I mean, for us, though, they will be more grandchildren kind of thing. So very interesting. So how did your mentors really make you realize taking you to the park at Charoda? I mean,
So
was there some statistics or something shown to you? How was it?
we looked at so we went to a place and we looked at it like from a very very close distance, like the
Mm.
crocodiles were lying literally 2 steps ahead of us and they were not
Okay.
harming us. Yeah,
Mm.
so we like they were trying to make us understand that they will not attack us or harm us unless and until we try to do something. They are as scared of us as we are of
As
them.
we are out there.
So yeah,
Interesting.
and they like we got to know a lot of new things, like how they could also calculate the stress level of the crocodile just by collecting the samples of the feces and taking them to the lab and testing them out. So it was like very interesting to know that you can get to know a lot about an animal just by few reactions.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Nandini. Anant, would you like to share your experience and the whole approach? Which you
Yeah, sure. The open elective that I was a part of was Sounding Water Stories. This was conducted by Jerry, Anthony, and Raj. Basically, they are graduates from NID, and they have been working in Bangalore. They have a studio known as Last Bench Studio. Uh, Particularly, they work upon story building and narrative building. So, for these 2 weeks, I really understood about how to narrate. Um, Talking about the assignments, we had a quick 30-minute uh, abstract drawing on the road using as water as a medium. There was this section where we needed to close our eyes and narrate one of our past experience. Uh, and as you look in front the presentation, there was this. We had to go to Teen Darwaza and explore water, maybe as a conscious or unconscious decision, present or in absent. Like there's this of letter in Urdu that I found in Jama Masjid, and it like this is paint. So like the indirect way of water, the like umbrellas being there. There's absence of water, but it recalls about water. Uh, the in second slide, there are some abstract forms that I made. So we had to take a poem that the one I took was The Lake Isle of Ensign-Free. It talks about the author William Butler Yeats, who imagines and wishes about going back to Innisfree and sit next to the lake. So there's two of abstract forms. The one on the right is the more dynamic movement of the body, and that thermocol wall wired with the aluminum wire talks about the rush and the need to go back. Uh, then the next slide was about me making a kinetic sculpture with incorporation of water, where where we had to take our past experience related to water. Um, it could be in any form, maybe a juice or maybe a tea. It requires water in that way. So my installation was about me as a 4 year old eating mangoes. Ramu Kaka used to bring me mangoes and used to be like super delicious. So here I made a kinetic sculpture that rotates, as it is mentioned, clockwise and anti-clockwise. So it is a movement of my tongue, the joy of eating and having that mango pulp. So yeah,
interesting.
that was there.
Yeah, interesting. And I remember I messed up with this moving clockwise and anti-clockwise when I went to the counter
Yeah.
and looking at it with Praveen. So that was quite interesting for me to look at it. And I was really hoping that that is a mango pulp, but of course not. So that was very interesting. So let's go to hear your friend next to you, and
Thank you
that is
so much.
Rupsa Biswas. Thanks, Anand. Rupsa, would you like to share your experience and approach? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Uh, I was in the same elective as Nandini was, River of Possibilities. And it was conducted by Arjun and Tejaswini. Tejaswini is a product designer, and Arjun is a ecologist. So it was a very good combination of understanding a physical element with from the perspective of ecology and from a perspective of an ecologist as well. And we went to fish market as Nandini
Wow.
spoke about it. We dipped our head in a fountain in our campus, and then we even had like small exercises where we were given um, like like themes like you have to speculate what should be done if this particular otter is missing from the community, what should be done to bring it back, what should be the conservation way of keeping it in the society and not harming it. So that was how we proceeded with the entire course. And finally, we spoke about, I worked on water hyacinth. Uh, so water hyacinth is basically a plant which is a problem to the ecosystem. So like Nandini, how Nandini said that fishes are getting reduced, and that is a problem for us. But here the plant is a problem, and it is creating trouble to the ecosystem. So I created a map where we can see that it causes disturbance in ecology and economic of the country. And we were asked to speculate the near future in 2050, which was not looking great if this particular plant species keeps increasing. So our idea was to analyze the plant anatomy, the reproductive way, its reproduction, and then understand the current research technology and current AI techniques, all of that we have, and come up with a solution where I created a net-like structure where we would be able to control the microclimate of the plant so that we can control its growth or reproduction in a way so that we can use it and also not let the plant harm the ecosystem. So this was my physical representation of that. It's a flap-like thing. So when you pull it, the water hyacinth plant goes down and a fish comes up.
Yeah, I recall this game you had. So how such a simple tool even for children to understand, and I'm sure it's a very effective tool even for adults to understand a simple logic behind what do we wish to have in future. Great, thank you so much, Rupsa. Let us reach out to our next friend here, and I think let me just see who is the next one. I'm just missing it because my screen is stuck. So can you please tell me who is the next person? Okay, I find it. Thank you so much. And let's go to Ananya. Ananya, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Go ahead.
Yeah, are the slides visible?
You are visible, and that's absolutely fine.
I'm sharing. I'll share the slides.
Yeah, you may start speaking, and then Vishnu will share. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So the elective that I was in was called the Amphibious Being. This was guided by Sonia Jose, who is a national level swimmer, and Akshay Khanna, who's an anthropologist. So the purpose of this elective was to explore what the meaning of amphibious really means. So amphibious, if you look at the word itself, it means to be able to survive on both land and on water. Usually it applies to animals, but we wanted to see how it applies to ourselves and our beings as well. So to do this, we practically did explore our land-based self as well as our water-based self. So we visited multiple swimming pools in and around Bangalore. This happened in the Bangalore campus. So in and around Bangalore, there were 2 or 3 different pools that we went to every day. And we did multiple activities in that. We practiced different breathing exercises. We swam a lot, obviously. We tried to go underwater and see how our bodies react to different depths of water, and really just became observant about how our bodies react in water. So it was a very experiential course, and yeah. Along with that, since we visited different locations of pools, we also did a little bit of research in terms of what was different in each pool and how it affected our bodies. For example, the chlorine content or the sunlight or the maximum depth of the pool, it all contributed to affecting our bodies in different ways. So overall, we did build our sensitivity towards ourselves. After these practical activities, we also went back and documented it in different ways. We made body maps where we lied down and traced an outline of our body and kind of depicted our experiences through that. We also had multiple discussions regarding fluidity in terms of course, water and in terms of the being. Yeah, so that was mostly what we did. Our final, as you can see in the video, we had GoPros and also took videos of how the world looks underwater. Our final activity that we put up for display was an immersive experience where we wanted the viewer to experience what it would feel like to be underwater without actually being underwater. So on the image on the left, you can see this was not the complete outcome, but it was a work in progress where we chose this ramp area, which signified the depths of a pool, and we covered it with tarp and played with the temperatures and everything to kind of simulate that experience. Yeah, that was mostly what we did, and it was a good elective.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ananya. Shall we hear from Manuel now? Manuel K Mathew, would you please come forward and share what you did and who were guiding you people?
Hello. The elective that I was part of was called Reimagining Water in Cartography. So we were very much involved in map making, with water being like the focus of it. So we were guided by Gautam Ratna Kumar, who's a architect and a furniture and interior designer. So how we approached it was like our main goal in the elective was to like map a specific water body and study how the water body itself affected like human behaviors, experiences, and how these things affected the water body back. So we visited like multiple water bodies in the Bangalore. Yeah, I was in the Bangalore campus for this elective. So we visited multiple lakes and even artificial lakes and ponds in the Bangalore city. So so the for the final project, the lake that I chose was the Alsur Lake, which is a which is an artificial lake that was created back in the 17th century. So so uh, So for the final project, so what I decided to do was to like map the points of interaction in the lake area. So points of interaction, I mean, through wherever like the people could like access the water physically. So like being a map, it was like subject to the users. So I tried to like include information such as the slope of the embankments, elevation, texture and construction type of the embankment, the vegetation in that area, and even factors like smell and color of the water. So, this on the surface level, like going into a deeper level, our faculty was uh, kind of insisting that instead of just being a guide for the users, we also ask questions through our maps. Um, so like since this map was able to show like the physical factors around the lake, some factors that I found out from my research and mapping was that there are multiple zones in the lake which are like separated and they have different colors, different smells, and some sections are well developed while some sections are very much dirty and polluted. And uh, and we like insisted ourselves like ask the question why this is happening. So we also found factors like one thing we noticed was that the lake itself was like separated by a concrete bund into two different sections, and one section was very much polluted and in a very marshy and slushy situation, and most people did not even go there. And it was later on that I found out that this area was where people used to do the rituals and like especially during Ganesh Chaturthi and all, immerse the idols. And this area was very much in a polluted state. So this lake, which was supposed to be a source of water from the 17th century onwards, is presently uh, subject like inflow of water, but from drains. So it was like through our process of mapping, we also understood how the lake changed throughout the years and how like the situation of the lake, present situation of the lake, how it is, and like what is being done by the government to like revive the lake, which is one of the most which is one of a major like tourist spot, and like morning joggers and tourists and all visit this area very much often.
Yeah, very interesting. And I can go on and on in the subject, but I have to control my emotions today because we are not talking about lakes, but I'm sure you figured out how we lost our lakes in the process, because we have lost many, many lakes and the lakes have reduced in size, which you mentioned in your work. So interesting. Let's move on to our last presenter, and that is Shefali Gond. Would you please share your experience and the approach you went through in your project, and I mean the entire batch went through?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mansi. So I was a part of the project called Water Waders and Whereabouts, which was about the current state of wetlands in our country and how to conserve them. My mentor were Shweta Shotria ma'am and Kishan Meena sir, who is an artist and a wetland activist. With them, I traveled to many wetlands near Ahmedabad, such as Tholbird Sanctuary and Nal Sarovar, to monitor birds and their behavior. And we also realized some harsh realities about our carelessness as humans. My role in the final assignment was to create. Can you please present the slides? Yes. The next slide, please. Yes. So my role in the final assignment was to create an installation representing the natural wetland and the population of birds around them, and compare it to a human curated ecosystem. And this installation was derived from our experience from wetlands that we visited. And in that comparison, it was very evident why birds choose chaotic looking wetlands and not beautiful looking gardens. So, yeah. And we also had different deliverables, like we had short film, some games to tell people, to make them aware about what we have realized in this course. So, yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Thank you so much, Shefali. And also good to see that you could understand that birds love those chaotic spaces. Maybe you and Manuel and the group of your, specialization and Manuel specialization can have a little bit more debate and rigorous interaction to understand what is good for wetland and lake. Because we heard a little bit of contrast in the way Manuel was talking about lake restoration process and the way you observe in your, and also it has to do with the size of the water body. But again, I'm controlling my emotions and then getting further to the last round of our conversation. And thank you so much, Shefali. And I just come back again to Vishnu to ask her very important questions, especially on pedagogy, because we are talking about something where water has been out of many premier institutes and courses and specialization and degrees for a long, long time. And now it is at the center, I must say, if not in every institute, but whoever is taking it up as a case or as a course are really considering it extremely important. So having done this Water Matters now, I'm just keen to understand from you what next with this, because we often see when students do their assignments, it's like, aage path piche sapat. In Hindi, there's a word, I don't know whether you understood it or not, but students will move on because it's one of their exercise from here, in their whole career of 4 years or 2 years. How do teachers see with intervention of this kind, which is not a mainstream education? When we are teaching water in schools like design, architecture, planning, management, technology, water comes in a very different form of, understanding. And especially when you mentioned the sensorial part of it, I can relate with it very much, especially now when we have heard the students, how did they do and how did they feel about it. So, very simple question for me, because I'm curious, where does this go? Not only for the students, but which they are going to talk about. We have their testimony already in the chat box if anyone is interested to look at both at YouTube as well as here. But as a teacher, and especially all the mentors, I'm sure you had a conversation together, and I'm sure at an institute level, where do you want to take this whole learning, or whole outcome of the learning further, both in terms of tangible outcome as well as intangible? Are you going to continue the pedagogy of teaching this, because it is not a mainstream learning at NID as well? I am struggling to see a water education in architecture planning as a mainstream. One off is good, but is it enough? Over to you.
Right. So I'll take up the intangible first. And it is a challenge. I don't think it's a very convincing topic for anybody who's 18 plus or below 20 to share the same emotion. Like you often use the word, I have a certain emotion, or to even say agree with the certain perspectives. And to have made this beginning itself, I feel we've done something that we can pat ourselves, and that calls for a celebration. But having said that, it also worries me to think about, oh, is this all? However, this was brought about right when we were discussing as to why is everything that we do as part of this extended, process of selection, proposing a topic, so ephemeral that our knowledge sort of becomes like, one-offs, and there isn't anything further that is there to be taken forward. So in my own act, like just now, I'm a textile faculty, and in that we have this 2 weeks where we can explore something that's out of the box, where we said, okay, how about let's look at where rivers meet textiles. It's a very unique relationship, and however, not a new one. It's been something that's ongoing, and it may not be convincing for many. And to say that, we want to do digital print, or we'd like to explore some new tech which meets, which helps in bringing about ways of making textiles. But however, one only can have a conversation to battle to say that why this is more important today, because that is something you can always pick up. But the tangible part of it, I think we are already, thanks to some of the invitations that you have made to share this work in other colleges like that of IIT BHU as part of Waterfest, or somebody like Sara Ahmed, who's already given us the opportunity to say, how about making all of this visible in our platform of Living Water Museum? And I hope to see that such things have a larger ripple effect. And one thing that I do trust, which is beyond me, but I still trust, is the education at NID is one, which is something we fulfill. But our students who come from almost every corner of this country, when they go back after their 4.5 years, I'm sure they're going to carry this memory. And the next time they stand by a river, the next time they stand by a pond, maybe they would have not done this water wader exercise or dived into the swimming pool, but just the fact that their friends have shared something would ring a bell. And I think I carry that of much more value, and having done a little shift in that pedagogy, because I know as a faculty, the onus is you have X number of hours, that's your lecture time, or you have another open elective for which you wait another year. But I think I still love these beginnings, and I think the stress is really on how loud can we make the celebration so that it lingers on. So I think both intangible and tangible, we have made the first step towards at least making that ephemeral little everlasting, because I think it'll be too tall a claim to conclude it too soon. And I'll see how far. These are my baby steps, because it's my first attempt at it too. I am no water expert, but for the fact that I hail from a city like Chennai, which has seen many water crises, for the fact that I've been to the corner of Manipur where people sit in a little pond with a little mug for an hour to fill a bucket of water, which is springing out from the ground, one feels that, this ought to be told. It's so serious, and it's so now that this outside of book and outside classroom environment is necessary. And how much more true can you get when you're in front of any of these situations, right? I mean, that's the best knowledge and the best way of learning. So there, I really feel that the NID's pedagogy, which has been celebrated for over more than 50 years, which is learning to do and learning to learn is itself very telling. And I feel what we've done resonates, and it's evident from the work that they have shared just now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You really made it very clear to understand that those little steps are important. And as teachers, that is our duty, First, I mean, self-realization, yes, but then if we can even move their heart a bit, it's like just turning the stone a little bit from the place where it is on the ground. So thank you so much for sharing where it is going to head for. And I'm sure it is, because you also mentioned that the problem is here, but then how do we make it realized, and in a more positive way? Instead of making a cry, why not make it a celebration and make people realize it? Probably they will realize the crisis instead of we telling them the crisis is there. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And let us hear from the students also in the same round, as well as understanding what are they planning to carry forward from here, and what are their key learnings, and how do they see if it has really changed their life. And maybe it's a good idea to understand from them and hear from them. Was there any aha moment, or oh no, my God, what is this? What were those moments in your whole 2 weeks? So we start with the same sequence to keep it simple for our viewers as well as for myself. So we start with Bharat. Let's hear from Bharat.
Like after experiencing the entire elective, like it was very fascinating to understand like how an entire community was built upon the flood affecting things. And also, like if you see through their culture of Majuli, there are like different narratives being going on from the flood, which is going on. Like as a exhibition designer, I always thought about different narratives coming together. Like although not every person here can actually like go to Majuli or like experience the same thing which I had experienced. So
Yes.
like I personally believe in narratives and like how narratives can actually change each one's life. And like my next step would be like going there and like studying their narratives and like bringing all those narratives through different aspects. For example, the textiles in Majuli, there are like different motifs inspired from flood and like the communities there. Like how can we bring those things like indirectly to understand how those narratives have been constructed, and to educate people around here, and like to know what is all about Majuli and like the river, the largest river island, like how they have been affected and how we as individuals can contribute to them. Yeah.
Very interesting. Any aha moment, or oh no, oh my God, anything like that?
Yeah, like it was really fascinating. Like whenever we like I being a Bangalorean, like I have just heard of floods and like not actually.
Okay. I think we lost connection with Bharat. So I will invite him later to speak. Maybe we move on to Nandini. Nandini, would you like to share?
Yeah, so it was a very shocking news for me when I got like when I learned that we only really have 30 years more for fishes if we do not change our fishing practices anymore. So that, and I would like to share my like, and also I could see that the people that were coming to look at my model, like being a vegetarian, I could not really relate to like eating fishes and all. Like, but when the people were coming and they were fishing, and when they reached the last aquarium and then they were trying to fish and they could hardly get any fishes, like maybe one or two, I could see it on their face, like the disappointment and the shock on their face. And also, uh, I hear a few of them saying that, oh my God, I need to stop eating fishes and I need to start telling my parents to do so too. So I was happy that my model was conveying the message that I was trying to put forward. And my oho moment would be, so we visited a fish market, and it was my very first time visiting a fish market. And to source things for the model, I had to go there again, and I was like, I'm done. And also we cut open the fishes, which is very horrible for me. Yeah.
Interesting. Where do you think you would like to take this learning further? And did it, I mean, you already told it moved you. But do you think in your future career this kind of learning is going to be useful and you can apply in your profession?
Absolutely. I think I got a new vision that everything needs to be sustainable. It's like we cannot be like it's okay. It's like there were few incidents where people were coming and the water robberies, which were representing fishes, they were picking it up from the very first aquarium because there were many. They're like, "Ek le lo, it's fine. There are many more." I was like, "Yeah, that's what we did to the ocean." So
Yes.
yeah, and they were like immediately putting it back. So yeah, that worked, and I think this whole experience will really help me in the future to look at one thing in very different ways.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thanks, Nandini. We return to Bharat to complete his sentence because we had lost the voice in network. Bharat, would you like
Oh
to
yeah,
complete your point?
yeah, sure, sure. So yeah, like I was telling, like how in being in Bangalore, like not affected by flood, like it was really like I used to only hear like crisis from flood, kya hua, what had affected the people like experiencing floods. Like
Okay. I think we are losing him the moment he talks about how the flood affected people. So that's quite interesting and intriguing for me. Why is it happening? So we are going to talk about because in that part of the country, flood is celebrated, where Bangaloreans do not celebrate flood, and because it's an urban flood. So let me reach out to Anant. Anant, would you like to share your last thoughts? And you know the questions. So go ahead.
Yes. So for this course, before applying for that sounding water stories, there was this description that tells there will be narrative building, and particularly I wasn't good at it, so I just wanted to give it a try to learn more about it. But while going for this 2 week course, I learned uh, more uh, about feelings and how to express them. Um, that could help me in creating exhibitions later on,
Mhm.
the narrative building, and I also understand myself. Like water made me understand myself, my emotions, that mixed emotions from the past, maybe coming in the future. My aha moment was there was this particular session presentation was going on, and it talked about abstraction. And I do love abstraction. Salvador Dali, Maya Deren,
Uh,
Reka Wakubo, some of the like important designers that I look up to. So I was learning about it, and there was this question, why abstraction?
mm,
And we were silent for a bit because I wasn't able to connect. And then Raj, our faculty, said, because the world needs it.
mhm.
And that those words was aha moment for me.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much. We can go on and on talking about these things, but with the time constraint, we have to keep it short and sweet for all of us. So let me invite Rupsa to share her final thoughts and you know the questions. Over to you,
Yeah.
Rupsa.
So the course was basically about speculative design, as we know. So speculative design, basically what I learned from this course was how even a small decision
Hmm.
can affect a ecosystem, like for years, even for a coming generation. There were few examples where they showed us that in just introduction of a honeybee or just
Hmm.
introduction of a wolf can change the course of river.
Yes,
So
the
all these
Yellowstone, huh? The Yellowstone.
yeah. So all these things and these stories that have all, I mean, I have always connected to nature a lot, and I think that is why I chose this course in the
Hmm.
first place. And I haven't figured out how I can use this in furniture and interior
Hmm.
design, but obviously the process of being very careful about each and every step, like
Hmm.
cutting down trees, deforestation, how
Hmm.
how do I minimize it as a designer, how do
Hmm.
I minimize the stress for laborers and workers. All
Yes,
these things I have to like, I'm still working on it. I'm still in the process of finding out the intricate details of my design and the
as it.
problem. in hand. Apart from that, for me, I have already always thought, like even for water hyacinth, it was a very simple, it was a devastating problem, but the simple idea that came to me is, why don't urban people think that water hyacinth is a problem? Because they don't get to see water, and even if they see water, it is covered with water hyacinth. So that thing popped in my mind, and that's why I chose water hyacinth in the first place. And our moment was like our faculties showed us a lot of movies. There were movies on walruses and how a baby walrus died because the mother also died. So very emotional way of cinematography and very emotional way of storytelling was there. And yeah, I mean every day was a very educative or informative day for me in this course, and really loved the course uh, in
Thank
whole.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rupsa. Thanks. And it's also good that you are still sinking in the entire process in your mind, in your head and heart, and thinking how it can be used more effectively. But important, you also mentioned that you are going to be more mindful about the way you carry out your profession. Thanks a lot. And let me reach out to Ananya to take her final thoughts from the course and how she wishes to take it further.
Yeah. So this course, I did have quite a few takeaways, and overall, the main thing was I just became a lot more aware of how water can also be a medium of being able to thrive in. Um, for example, water. We did go to a pool which was 15 feet as well, 15 feet deep, and going down to the absolute bottom and just feeling the immense pressure over your head. It was a very different experience. It was very just therapeutic in a way, very calming. So being able to see how just simply by being in water can change your mental state and everything so much was very eye-opening. Apart from that, there were plenty of visuals and experiences that I can now draw upon. Um, Being a storyteller, I guess, in the making and animation, collecting all these experiences and seeing how the identity as well of a character can be fluid like water is also something that I am introspecting on. So overall, yes, it was a very informative course.
Thank you so much, Ananya. Very interesting when you mentioned going deep into it and therapeutic about it. You know, I mean, lot of water epidemics are also actually looking at options of going into water therapies and all. There are many water therapies as well, you know, whether you do it through sports or whether you do it through medication. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. And let me invite Manuel and I'm going to reach out to you, Bharat, at the end because we also have a video from you. So request Manuel to be as precise as possible and share his final thoughts. Manuel, over to you.
Yeah. So through the open elective, I think I was helped in expanding my understanding of water more than a vital element of sustenance, how it created like experiences and supported livelihoods. So we used to see how people used to come there for jogging or have a good time around the lake. And I also noticed laundry and activities like that going around the lake. So that is one thing. And one thing that very much impressed me was this lake was built in the 17th century, like by the Kempegowdas, who were hailed as the founders of Bangalore, and the system that they created for collecting water and then distributing it when there was need for it. And then another thought that came by during my research was the dependency on water. Like it is only very recently that the lake ended up in a polluted stage, and earlier people were directly like dependent on the water, and I feel like they were more concerned about the quality, and they themselves took initiative to like keep the lakes clean. While now water is very much more available through pipes and like through a centralized system basically. So I think that dependency has kind of reduced, and that is leading to less concern for the what the water body basically. That is one insight that I got.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks, Manuel. Thank you so much. And Shefali, would you like to draw your final thoughts and how you wish to take it further, or if it moved you?
Yeah, sure. So, the program helped me build more empathy for birds in general and realize why their existence is vital to human beings. It is necessary to aware people about all these things, because sadly, I've realized that we as people do almost everything for our own benefits and greed, and believe that wetlands are not important to us because we do not use them directly. So one of my oh my god moments was when I realized that that we feed birds as a sign of goodness, but it is actually bad for them, and how we are disturbing their natural way of living life,
Yes.
resulting in decline in their population in some cases. So yeah, it was one of like I had some really harsh realizations in this whole course. So I'm going to take this forward and aware more people about the same.
Interesting. So as you see, Vishnu, we have now many observations from them, many learnings to take it further. And we're going to talk about it off the session from here. But right now, let me invite Bharat again to complete his sentence. Maybe Bharat, you can start from the point where you left rather than going back to Bangalore, because something is happening the moment you talk about Bangalore flood and your voice goes off. So maybe you just jump into the flood there. And also, I know you have a video to showcase. So maybe we can see that as well as a closing video. Thank you. Over to you, Bharat.
Yeah, it was quite a bit good understanding like how in Majuli back there are like quite a less amount of resources available, but still the people over there have compatible themselves to like understanding each and every resource present there. For example, the elephant grass or the different types of bamboo which is present, they have tried to live their lives with those things which are around them, and like to combat with floods, and how they are celebrating floods also. So this was like a realization that you need to know whatever is there around you. Like you can start with your own space where you are sitting, like you know each and everything around you yourself. So by that you can actually like have a good space for you to live in.
Very interesting. Would you please share your video? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
রিনিকি রিনিকি রাঙলি বেলিতি ঝিলিকে মাজুরিতে জেঠরে জুৰুলা খাউলে খহুৱা বুকুতে বনগীত পুনৰ ৰাগি দুচকুতে কিনুচতিয়ালি ঝিকিমিকি ৰদালি হাঁহিবিনে বেলি পথাৰতে সুগতি হৈ বাৰিষাৰে গধূলি থাকিবনে বেলি নদীখনি মনে মনে
Interesting. Thank you so much. Thanks for the final video to showcase, and also reminded me of the community eating and cooking that was going around there. And that was also for me the last, I think, moment to see all your exhibitions at NID with Praveen and Vishnu on the final D-Day of your exhibition. So Vishnu, any last word from you? How was the experience of this conversation and where do we go further from here together? Because I have made some propositions to you and Praveen on this whole water matters. So any last words, and then I do the closure.
Well, I am absolutely elated that it feels like a dream come true. From when I was actually proposing this, incidentally, I was flying out of Kolkata and I landed in Guwahati airport. And I was on Brahmaputra when I had this camera on and I'm explaining, this is what I'm proposing, Praveen. And Praveen is like, show Brahmaputra. To from there to arrive at here, I couldn't have asked for more. I feel like my wish is fulfilled already. So my last words is that I think this is the true value of everyone having to celebrate, this effort. I think I, at this point of time, really can't be bothered about this should have happened or it could have been better. I am all, like many stars, like I couldn't have asked for more, really. And I think their articulation resonates more now, because at that time it was a culmination of a course, and it was a culmination of how things were done differently. And especially I must point out that this was one of our first modules where we invested so much more on field trips, on live experiences. And I in fact wanted a surfer to be on board as a person who can be part of the elective, like somebody like Ananya, who had the experience of diving into the water. And I thought, how about the sea? How about the ocean? So I had a whole list of wish lists, but I said, now this is okay. And I'd just like to conclude remembering one of my very fond faculty professors from here, NID. His name is Emmanuel Suresh. He actually took the effort of going to the swimming pool to learn to swim when he was, I think, 55 or something, and he said he would laughingly say that you would not know 2/3 of the world if you don't know how to swim. Go swim, so
absolutely.
So I would really think, and Praveen, the director, used to go with Suresh together, and we have a very fond memory of having spent time, and we've also gone for competitions together. And I really wish, in a very slight way possible, if I can just make swimming compulsory, that would be the most tangible way of saying that we still connect to water, and that should be free for all. You should just have that experience.
You said it, and it's not free in the Netherlands, but it is compulsory to know swimming in the Netherlands. So maybe it's a very good idea to stay connected also with water. But water, swimming in lake is something different than swimming in a swimming pool.
Exactly.
And personally, I'm literally jumping into a lake and pond in the moment I find that it is good enough to do that. And when I see villagers and all, I'm sure all the students who have gone through this course, they will also have this feeling and urge. The moment they say local people taking a dip, they will also be tempted to take it and even dare to take it, because it's not that bad to take a dip in local waters. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for the enlightening session, especially all the students who have come here. It was not possible to have this wonderful discussion only with the faculties if you people were not there. So once again, thanks to Bharat, Nandini, Anant, Rupsa, Ananya, Manuel, and Shefali, and all those who have been in your groups. We'd also like to thank them, and especially your mentors. And big thanks to Vishnu to really gather these students together to have a conversation with us, because it is extremely important for us to understand how water is taught, researched, practiced in different fields, different disciplines, and different sectors of the society. And of course, a big thanks to Praveen to have me on board, not as literally, but from outside, to be part of this whole wonderful journey here. And I had the privilege to see all the exhibition which was placed there. So thank you all of you. But at the W4W Foundation, we also want to have a big announcement for everyone who are watching us. We have actually gone past more than 250 sessions, to be precise, 254 sessions. I counted it last night to be sure that we have crossed 250. And this session is also the end of our season 3 of the session. So we are going to take a break to reflect upon what did we learn, how did we really organize our information, how do we want to disseminate it. So we are going to have a break of 2 months. That doesn't mean that we are not working. That means that we are working on something more interesting like this. And that's where we are preparing for our upcoming water festival, which is on 16th and 17th of February at IIT BHU. And this is an invited event to all the speakers, around 350 speakers who have spoken on our platforms. And that includes literally 30% or 35% of the youth. We are going with the population of the country. And so we have a large chunk of youth speakers on our platforms, because this whole platform was created for them to create some kind of water education in different way. So everyone is invited. We do have a form to fill for registration, all those who are listening to us through YouTube. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the speakers who have been on our platform and my dedicated team, nearly 20 of them who have been volunteering on this conversation series. Without them, this would not have been possible. And without the speakers, it would not have been possible to make these conversations meaningful. So with these words, I wish to assure you that we are going to continue the conversations online, offline. It is, both. We are enriched with both tools now. But for the time being, the online sessions will be resumed immediately soon. And that time we are going to inform to you whenever we are ready, because we have to ready it at least a month in advance for some sessions. Then we can start the session. More info on what's going on in W4W can be found out from www.w4w.in. And especially info on the Waterfest is also there. You can register from there. We are closing the registration today, by the way, because we have to arrange the logistics. There's no registration fees. There is no charges for accommodation and other logistics. Everything is taken care of because we really care for our speakers who have been on our platform. Thank you so much, all of you. Please take care, and we see each other soon online, but physically somewhere in the country, definitely soon. Yeah, thank you.